Dabu7, an update once again here to the situation with this global ransomware hack. For those that missed it, I put out a video asking who's really behind this, going over the details. You might want to check that out because many people out there, I'm sure, curious as to who's really pulling this off. Give my opinions and some of the latest details on the situation in that video. But now they're saying Microsoft has taken this highly unusual step of securing early operating systems in the wake of this massive attack. They say Microsoft XP received this new security patch 3 years after the computer giant discontinued support for this OS. Now, the patch release comes after this virus that they're calling WannaCry, and there's a couple different variations of it as well, but this encrypts files and demands that the users pay for the release. They're saying more than 100,000 computers have been affected. They're saying reports have come in on, actually, the malware tech reports 124,000 computers have now been affected. So that's jumped up there. People still reeling from this. They're saying there's an investigation ongoing and everything else, but they say earlier this year, Microsoft created a patch called MS-17-010 to guard against this virus. So they knew what this could do to begin with. And they're saying now that older unsupported operating systems were not included in that update. So now they're making moves here. They're taking the highly unusual steps of providing security updates for all customers to protect Windows platforms that are in custom support only, including XP, Windows 8, and Windows Server 2003. So this is ongoing. This is one of the latest updates that they've put out there in connection to this. To make sure people are aware, I'll leave a link for this. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, @Dabu7 on Twitter, for the latest updates. And also catch the other videos I put out before this. It's been Dabu7. Peace. This is Dabu7. Some updated information pertaining to what happened across the globe here with this Cyberattack, ransomware, they're saying was used, that has affected over 100 countries. Last night we talked about this on the live show, went into some detail, but unfortunately the live shows are not shown globally. So the base of this is that this thing hit many different places, affecting Russia the most. UK was hit, where hospitals were affected. They could not do x-rays. Germany was hit. Train stations were affected, as you can see here. Universities were struck across the globe. China was hit. Chinese universities were hit. The Ukraine was hit. And Russia seems to be the one that got hit the hardest at this point. They're saying that Russia's rickety infrastructure has left it vulnerable to these attacks. They're stating that some 40% of their Windows operating systems that are on their computers are pirated. So they're saying they were very vulnerable in this instance. And there was some American companies like FedEx, they were affected, and other corporations. But if you're looking at the big picture here, it looks like the United States was not affected like the other places. And they're saying that the reason is because this 22-year-old British researcher that runs a malware tech company, or he's at Malware Tech Blog on Twitter, on a whim, they're saying he got lucky and figured out the kill switch on a whim. And that this is why the United States isn't affected like the rest of the places. He's basically saying that he's a white hat, and I don't have any other further information on this individual if it's checking out to be true yet or not. I'm just telling you what's being said at this point. I'll continue to dig on him and vet this individual to see what we come up with. But he's stating that he's basically a white hat that didn't want to get caught up in this because he found it. But what he does is he goes and he tries to find C2 domain names that have malware connected to them when they run their programs on them. And when he finds them, he buys them up, registers them, and sends them to the server, which is a black hole. It's kind of like Ghostbusters trap. You want it to suck up everything that's bad and then seal it off and keep it all in there and keep it in that area where it can't escape and it can't affect anyone else or anywhere else. That's effectively what he said he did. But he said that they can simply create a brand new domain name and relaunch this again. So this is exactly what I said last night. This is a beta test. And it's affected many different places. And it's kind of ruffled the feathers. Now they're estimating that they could try to get over 1 billion in Bitcoin. And I have a funny feeling that this is going to be geared toward something to do with Bitcoin in the end. It may be geared toward the downfall of it. We'll see. Or may not. But I think most individuals that have been using Bitcoin are doing so under the thinking that it's not tracked or it's the easiest bit of currency to use that's untrackable. But to me, any transaction that is carried out over the internet is tracked. People can believe that there's things not tracked, but I believe that they have this at a whole different level than what people are seeing. But right now, that's where it sits here globally in terms of what they're saying here on the world stage. Okay? That this can continue, and all they got to do is change the domain and launch this again. Now, this is connected back. They're trying to say, potentially through the Vault 7 release, talking about the shadow brokers. Shadow brokers apparently obtained all these secret weapons of the NSA and had them up for sale and was going to sell more stuff, but no one took the offer. But apparently they got this out there. And this is all coming from the leaks they put out. And they're saying they have these weapons. Now I'm telling you right now, they're treating these things worse than nukes. And people just don't see it right now. Because before nukes fly, they can cripple a country by shutting the lights out. Do you see? That is the biggest warning that I can give to all of you. This is just a little beta test. So, at this point, that is what is being put out there on this world stage. Once again, let me shift gears now. I'll give my take on this, some of my thoughts and opinions, and I'll leave links here so you guys can read up on all the different stories and what people are saying here and in connection with this. But from my experience over watching these theatrics over the years on a daily basis, all these events, all the hacks that we've seen, all the boogeymen they try to point the finger at. Let's try the Sony one, where they tried to blame North Korea, and it turned out that it was them. This is going down the same avenue for me, right there. Because they're not stupid. And what better way when something comes up and you don't want people to point the finger at you, well, you say, oh, this was all stolen from us. Immediately, when you say that it was stolen from us, it turns the cheek. Everyone's like, all right, well then, who stole it? Soon as you say that you have just been robbed, that you are the victim, the cheek turns looking the other way and around to who could have done it. Right there is where they got you. Are you starting to see how they operate? Because America, when the lights go out, it's going to be these same hands that are behind every staged event. Right here. And no one else. No one else. Don't forget it. If your emergency radio is telling you they think it's a hack by the Russians or the Chinese or the North Koreans or whoever they want to blame, you better know different. It's, in my opinion, this is a ruse. It's a beta test. I don't buy, personally, none of the crap from WikiLeaks. I don't buy none of the shadow broker crap. I don't buy Julian Assange or Snowden. I don't. Find it hard to believe that men like that, especially WikiLeaks and Assange, operating out of where he was, with Pam Anderson slipping in to see him, was dumping all this information during the election, and he never got blacked out. I'm talking about the reality of it. We get censored on YouTube videos and Twitter feeds, putting out tweets. They censor us. If you're talking about putting out information affecting an election, you're telling me they're not going to try to censor him or anything? It continued the whole time. I don't trust none of it. And I feel like, it's my opinion, some of these individuals out here are playing the part of being the mouthpiece for them. Because instead of coming on national television and telling you, oh, hey, we're tracking you, we've tapped all your iPhones since 2008 with malware, they haven't done it in that way. They've done it in a soft form through these mouthpieces, which some could say, oh, well, maybe it's a lie, maybe it's not official. Or they know that the information's being put out there, but you're accepting it, and you're accepting the fact that they're stripping your freedom, they're stripping your privacy. And no one's protesting in the streets. No one's doing nothing about it. Nothing. They're just taking it from you. Selling your search history now, no one's doing nothing about it. Nothing. Then what's going to be next? They steal your bank account information and they're selling it? You just going to sit there then too? No. Once people start to really get affected, they're really going to want to know who did it. Problem is, you can't fall for the lie when they say that it was the boogeyman. It was the same hand that's always behind these false flag events, is what I'm warning you. This is a world stage. You're talking about entities here on this world stage that fake that they're Christians, they fake that they're Jews, they fake that they're Muslims, and they worship something they keep from you, hidden in plain sight. And they care not about you. That's the truth. To my belief, the biggest thing hampering their new world order is obviously us, what we have left of our freedoms, and our guns. And if you want to lie down and allow them to slowly take all that away from you, well, that's exactly what they'll do. They'll take every bit of it. But it's not going to happen in ways that I think most people are thinking. So you just remember, in the end here, with this massive event that's gone down, it could be weeks, it could even be months down the road till the next one hits, or it could be very soon. Don't know the timeline. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know one thing. It's always the same puppet masters. Nothing stops till you cut the head off the snake, ladies and gentlemen. Or expect more. More and more and more. The puppet show will continue till all of you live and die. And nothing will ever change. Your children will live through it. Your grandchildren will live through it. And if you come back into this life, it's going to be the same thing. Until something happens. This is Dabu7 and this is Illuminati. Peace.